No, choked to death instantly. Not a good start. Alright, let's get this game started, and then we can start our interview. I think, like, normally most people would be, it's not a good idea to interview someone while you're doing something else, you'll be really distracted, but it worked before.
It works last time, so it's gonna be working this time as well.
Yeah, I figure it's a good idea. You know, it gives people something to look at least. So, alright. So, gentle friends, I'm here today with Yanako. So, Yanako, for anyone who has not encountered you before, what's your deal? What's your deal?
Firstly, I'm gonna say hi to the stream first. And
Oh, wow.
it's kind of awkward in here. And I'm a semi-competitive player for League of Legends, and I am the support player of Absolved, and which is like a Danish team. And I'm playing in Danish Div 2, and it's called LCD, League Championship Denmark. Yeah, and I'm the support player. I've been in M&M Academy as the sub, and I've been playing some offline tournaments such as Insomnia and some kind of Scouting Grounds and Uni League.
So today we're going to be kind of going over a little bit of your kind of history, such as there at the moment. And then later on we're going to be getting into some of the stuff about, your thoughts on being a player, like the perspective on the inside of that. Talking a little bit about some of the alternative paths which you can go from being a player, and then also what your experience has been like as a female player in the scene. So
Yeah, sure.
So just to kind of start us off, so you mentioned a few of the positions you've been in so far on different teams. Are you, what's your current circumstances? Where did you start off with esports? I suppose is maybe a better way.
I think my first tournament is like almost 2 years ago, and my debut tournament is called Insomnia 65, which is held in Birmingham in the UK. That was the first time I played an actual tournament, even like offline or like online, and it was from an invitation from a uni friend, which they want to make a team to compete in Insomnia, and he was like asking me whether I want to play ADC and for the team, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then it come to the end, which some like another ADC joins, and I was like, maybe I could fill for you guys, and I just role swap to support. And this is the reason why I role swap to support as well in competitive and like solo queue wise. Yeah, it actually went pretty well. Like I wasn't the like I just started playing support at the time, but we got third in that tournament somehow.
Nice.
And yeah. And then I just started playing some uni league and slowly like having some friends in the UK competitive scene, and I decided to like post a tweet on like looking for a team like officially, and it's pretty lucky that I got some offers and got some trials, and I decided to get into some minor leagues first. I got into some diamond teams. I played with them, developing my shot calling skills and like drafting skills, and also improving myself mechanically and in macro. Then I get into another team, which is M&M, and I definitely learned a lot from there, from like coaches and all those better players in league. Because like M&M Gaming has the academy team in UKLC, which is like Div 2. So like it's pretty high level, and it's a really good start for me as well.
Alright, well, so we're going to be sort of approaching this discussion as kind of like a very practical approach to esports stuff, because, we had this discussion before, and you were able to explain, like, pretty clearly some of the sort of the specifics, I suppose, of how this stuff works. So if we kind of rewind a bit to follow your journey through there. So when you initially put out the looking for teams, you know, what was the experience like to kind of go from someone who had only presumably played, at the Insomnia event, had played with friends, to making that step into, taking the first part of that journey to be a team player?
Yeah, obviously, I do think that is quite a tough decision, because when you're a player which decides to tries to achieve something in a competitive scene, like your OPGGs, which means your rank in solo queues, actually your CV. I don't know whether it's a good metaphor, but it's actually just your CV, and tell people how good you are at this game before they give you the chance to try out or anything. And from how I started, I played in Insomnia first, and my teammates are mostly some semi-pro players already, which they helped me to know a lot of new people from the UK scene, and some of them aren't even from UK scene. They travel from the other country to compete in Insomnia. So I actually knew a lot of people and some of the coaches there, and I did find out that this competitive scene might be something that I want to go for it. So I just start playing competitively after that, and I was constantly improving my solo queue rank as well. Yeah, that's how it goes.
So whereabouts, in terms of your confidence levels and things, when you were getting those first offers in, how were you evaluating that? What was that experience like?
From the first time I got into looking for team progress, I think the first thing that I got is some kind of minor leagues. It's not really actual UK leagues. I get some minor leagues offers. I got some offers from leagues from other countries such as Germany, Austria, Italy, and Spain. That's what I remember. And I did some trials with them, and it comes out to be I am not quite talkative at all comparing to comparing to normal players, because as a solo queue player, you play your game on your own or with your duo. You don't really have to talk as much as a competitive scene player. So it makes me become I actually didn't talk much, and the teams didn't quite get impressed onto me, even though they gave me feedbacks my I'm not bad at mechanical stuffs, but I could be better than this. So they didn't actually give me offers. So how I start is I got an offer from minor leagues, and I decided to start from there, because that might be a good place for me to start to play as a team, not play as a solo queue player, because it's kind of still a bit different. Solo queue is more flipping coin, while competitive is how you develop as a team, how you play the game according to plans, and knowing what your winning conditions are.
Okay. Yeah, that's really fascinating, because sorry, I'm just, because this is something we didn't actually get to talk about before, so I'm just trying to process it through and make sure I'm understanding everything correctly. So you tried out for the initial teams. So you're saying that the main thing that they were concerned about was your communication.
Yep. I do think that because, as you know, as I just mentioned, uh, I role swapped to support after Insomnia. Not like after Insomnia, during Insomnia. And like, I do feel like support players are like primary or secondary shot callers usually. So what they're looking for are always like looking for people who could be talkative and like kind of like leading the team. So you
Okay.
kind of require some sort of like some sort of communication between people, which is why organizations didn't accept me at that point.
So did you what kind of were you feeling coming out of that then, like in terms of to go into the first thing and then immediately kind of get shut down? Like, did you have a particular plan coming out of that to say, okay, if communication is a problem, I'm going to do X and Y specifically to improve on that?
Yeah, of course. Like, when I wait, when I I have to take this from first. I need to take this from first. Okay, we can continue. From that rejection from some sort of like actual regional league teams, I realized that if I want to improve as a player, if I want to try to get into competitive scene, I have to know like how this scene works, like what players, what kind of players they want if you want to play in this scene. So like, as I said, I went into some minor league teams, like which are like full of diamond players, which I personally don't think that is a bad start. And I actually developed a lot since there, because in that team it's not like really like high level players, but they often listen to me and give me the opportunity to like do the drafts and make the call, which means that I could actually slowly develop my shot calling skills and everything while doing it.
I kind of want to take
Which is like, yeah.
I just want to take a small side into this, because this is something again which we didn't really come up in the previous discussion. The idea of, we'll come back to the main topic in a minute, but the idea of trying to develop out your ability to shot call and lead and things. Can you just remind me, what kind of rank were you at this sort of time?
I was constantly in Diamond 1 already at the time.
Okay.
I didn't actually improve that much in sort of like solo queue rank, because like, as I mentioned, if you want to try to get into competitive scene, what they look at first when you're like a no-name or random, they are gonna look at your solo queue rank before everything. It's like an entry requirement. So
Sure.
like I've been achieved at the certain rank already, but I'm just not good enough to like be a competitive player at that point. Meanwhile, when I was in that minor league team, I am already like the highest elo player in there. So like,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
they actually gave me the chance to like develop myself by doing this.
Okay. And I mean, I know this is somewhat off the topic of being esports player. This is me taking the chance to ask. Well, I've got it because it's something that I'm personally interested in as well. Like, what is the process of developing as a shot caller?
Oh no, this is a tough question, cause like that's actually a really hard process for me from someone that really doesn't like to talk much. Like, maybe I'm like talking quite a lot now, but I still don't like to talk actually.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll come back to the developing as a shot caller at the end, because I think it's such a big diversion from what this initially was supposed to be about, which is more about like, you know, developing it as a professional. Ryan Lol, thank you for the follow. All right, so that was it's because I wanted to try and develop my own shot calling that I figured I'd take a chance, but let's move forward in time. So you're at these smaller teams. You're in now as a shot caller and the most experienced person on those teams. So immediately that kind of sounds like you've got a limited amount of space to grow there if you're already the most experienced person on the team, or the highest ranked person.
It's kind of true, but at the same time, I don't really agree with it, because
Okay.
yes, maybe I don't develop my mechanical skills, but that's not really what I'm looking for when I decide to join that team. Because definitely, like, in mechanical level, I am surely, like, could be better than that, but I do feel like if I want to play competitive, having that mechanical level is important, right? But at the same time, I would also want to develop what the teams or what the organizations want me to be.
And what you...
Such as, like, as I said, shot calling, like macro managing, wave management. All these stuffs are like really important when you are playing in a competitive league scene.
So were these teams at this level, was this something that you had to kind of figure out for yourself as you were doing it?
It's more like a self-development. You have to keep on motivating yourself when you're playing in some minor league teams, because people always start to like give up when you get into these league scene, because you think that you're just not gonna like improve or anything, but it's actually not. Like, I do think that a lot of players start their journey in minor league teams instead of like actual UKEL or like regional leagues.
Oh, hey Twister. Yes, I'm still doing casting. Then we're here today to talk to Yanako specifically. So if you've got any questions, I think Ryan does as well. There we go.
Oh, that's my friend.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, so we're here specifically to talk about Yanako's kind of journey through through esports so far. But just to touch back on what you're saying, so I don't know if you can sort of remember any specifics, but I kind of feel like the devil's always in the details for these kind of things. Can you remember anything about your experience, like in terms of any specific things that you kind of sort of clicked for you while you were in this kind of phase of your career, like trying to develop up the the macro and the shot calling, like anything that kind of like turned any kind of corners for you?
I could tell like a little thing about what my minor team happened, because like the jungler there is not like mechanically quite well and like good at like macro stuff.
Okay.
And what I have to deal with it is I actually start to try to like tell them that, hey, can I try to like shot call for the team? Maybe it will be better if there's someone who actually shot calls in the team, and not having like everyone like losing their minds just running around at the map, right? And then it kind of works, which is kind of impressive, because I didn't think that I could be able to do this for my team, and it comes out to be like I just didn't want to talk most of the time, but when I talk, I am always making like the right decision for the team, which means that they actually gain like some sort of trust on me and let me to continue to do this for the team.
Okay, so at this point, the issue wasn't so much that you're, of just making the right decision in the first place, but
it's more like you're like making the first step for you to like try to talk instead of being a solo queue player in general.
Okay, so yeah, it sounds like a very good circumstance for you to be in, because if you are the highest ranked player on the team, then you have got the advantage that that your calls are going to be something sensible. Like, you don't have the same problem being like, oh, what if I'm calling the wrong thing?
I mean, I do make wrong decisions sometimes. I have to say this because I do know that sometimes I had the wrong decision, but as a team, it's always better to all commit to a decision once you made it, instead of having different opinions before doing anything. Because even if it's a wrong decision, if you're a team and you all commit to it, it's not a bad thing. Because that's what a team should be. They just want you to commit as a team, not you know that it's a wrong decision, then some of them just not going for it, not committing to it, and made your team are just not playing like a team.
No, that makes sense.
If you did the wrong decision, all right, but you're gonna learn from it. This is what fault reviews are for. But people are always gonna appreciate that you always plays as a team.
So Sorry. So Twister, we're talking with Yanako, who I think I may have forgotten to update the stream title. Sec, I'll make this a little bit more explicit up at the top. Well, player Yanako. There we go. Let's also give this a bit more of a backing, so it's a bit more of a supposed to be good. This is what's supposed to be going on. Well, yes, Twister, we'll be getting into some of the I guess more recent history. Well, first, so I think we've kind of mined out a lot of the kind of the good stuff from this particular part. So you're all so you're on this sort of lower tier team, but you're developing your communication skills, you're developing your shot calling, you're making those mistakes, VOD reviewing, and then sort of correcting those. Was there anything else you were doing at this kind of point in your career that was, that did you have any kind of mentals or anything like that at this point?
Sorry, would you mind to repeat the question? Because I couldn't really hear clearly.
Oh, sorry. So you're doing the shot calling for the team. You're developing your communication. But was there anything else you were doing specifically at this point to try and improve your position?
At this point, I'm more because I've already been in a team now. Because I've joined a team 3 weeks ago, I think, or 4, and it's more me and my team are trying to play and get used to playing together and getting those synergies instead of actually improving in macro and mechanically.
Okay, so
for me.
So one of the things we're going to be kind of trying to narrow in on is the kind of your sort of journey. So, was there a particular turning point for your experience with this team where you realised that you needed to, to move on from there?
It's not really a move on for me, because I just left after the split is done for them.
Okay, so you had a one split contract with them.
Yeah, it's not really contracted. It's more they gave me the offer, and then we scrimmed with each other, and we're they're okay, we want you to be in the team. Would you want to play with us in the upcoming leagues split? And then I was okay, sure. It's gonna help me to develop how I play as a competitive player anyways. So I just accepted over, and decide to play with them for a bit. But after that, I went back and like keep on looking for an actual team in like regional leagues or like national leagues.
Okay, so because I mean, this is kind of being sort of oriented to for a player who's kind of maybe potentially starting off. So in this case, so that was your decision at that point to be like, okay, I'm not going to pursue. I guess theoretically you could have stayed with the team for another season if you thought it was going to help you.
Yeah, but I do feel like because I've developed some basic kind of communicating skills that I think I would need in a higher league, which makes me think that maybe I could start to look for like a higher, better team to like start to develop myself as a player there.
Okay, so
I don't know whether it makes sense, but
no, that absolutely does make sense. Sorry, quickly re-itemizing my Shyvana. What am I doing? Yeah, this will do. Fine. I chose brawlers because I always figured that's a composition I can play the least attention to while playing. Okay, so yeah, so this is one of the things which I really wanted to get into in detail. So you're at this. So at this point in the career, yes, you've got the communication skills maybe you were missing or didn't have as good before. So what's what does the situation look like for you? You're going out there, you're trying to find a team. What are you specifically looking for?
I was looking for a regional league for me to start at, which it actually didn't go quite well.
No?
For some reason. Cause like, wait a minute, let me quickly change my comp. I need to quickly change my comp before anything happens. Okay. Kill. Undone like. Okay. I think that's how it works. Cause like, after being in that minor league team, I'm looking for like another higher league team to join, right? But like it didn't went too well because I am still a no name because I only played in some minor leagues. But the good thing is I did some like trials with league teams, and they're like in UKEL teams, and they're like giving me really good feedbacks. And based on that, I do feel like I can like continue to look for teams while developing myself. This is why I accepted Eminem's Academy's sub offer. You know, like as a sub, you don't really like play for the scene. You only play when players need you, and when the team needs you. So at that time, I kind of tried to like sit into every scrims and listen to how they draft stuff, which kind of helps me a lot actually.
So just to rewind a little bit, so for the NM Academy, actually no, burn even further. Could you expand a little bit on, so you said you were getting the feedback from the teams, which was kind of encouraging you to pursue things further. Can you remember what was that feedback at the time then?
They were saying like I am fine mechanically, but I probably didn't play much in the actual league scene, so I am still not like quite good at like dealing with actual situations when we're like having a team fight and like all those rotations between lanes, if you know what that means.
Yeah, so it was a difficulty of trying. Also, I'm dead. This is good because it means I can concentrate on the interview. But hey, it's good to have something on screen to look at. So yes, okay. So it was team fighting and macro stuff. Yeah, sort of making the team-wide decisions were the things you didn't have as much experience in as they wanted. I'm sorry. Am I understanding that one correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. Cause like that's what they think that I could be improving on, and I didn't like as I said, I didn't actually play in the split when I stayed with Eminem. I did play some scrim games, but that's all. But at the same time, sitting in scrims is not like everyone thinks that being a sub player might be like, you're not gonna learn a lot because you're not gonna play. Yes, obviously you're not gonna like develop a lot if you're just sitting there and like not doing anything. But well, if you wouldn't mind to like spend some time to like listen to your team comms and listen to how they play this game, it actually just helps you a lot when you're like trying to play in a team. Because from what I know, or like from my experience, they actually like they did like loads of vote reviews, and what I know is they actually tell people about what you need to do when in certain situations, and when you listen to more of it, you'd be like, maybe next time when I play my game, this is what you have to do. But not like just sitting there like watching the games like a normal viewer and like watching some LCS games or whatever it is, if that makes sense.
So that's what you got out of the sub experience, is just exposure to how a team works and kind of the decision making process.
Yep.
Okay.
Which definitely helps a lot.
Yeah, well, that does make a lot of sense. I can imagine that for a lot of people, it would be difficult to sort of see where you would get the value if you weren't playing, but that does make a lot of sense, because I guess that's the part of the team that you don't get to see from a viewer's perspective at all.
Because like if you're watching like LCS or like LEC from a normal perspective, you probably think that this player is just not playing well. But as a player who is looking for an improvement, this is not what you should be thinking. You should be like getting from what he's playing and how you could be improved when looking at him, instead of like just looking at how he plays.
Okay. Are you able to draw to mind any examples of that you can remember?
Pardon?
Can you think of any examples of that kind of come to mind as that sort of you specifically come across, like you've seen a particular player and you've changed what you've been doing as a result?
I could put on an example of me playing with my teammates right now.
Okay.
Because let me think how to rephrase it properly. Because me and my ADC are basically the main shot caller of my team right now. Like, it's kind of weird because my ADC shot calls.
Yes.
Which is not actually like normal ADC would do. They will be like sitting there quietly, but well, my ADC is a bit weird. Weird. But like how we develop skills is like we actually do vote reviews on our own, like as two people, like every time, like after like actual match games or like after scrims. And we're like keep on like watching how we could be better as like mechanically or like macroly, and we actually learn from enemy team from how they manage the wave. Like they slowly stacking the waves and getting into like they're slowly stacking the waves, and then they just get into the time that jungler is at bot side, and they could stack the waves and just hardly push after 2 waves, and they could have the prior of doing early Drake.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, this is like kind of like some basic stuff when you get into like actual higher leagues, but for me, it's kind of like a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, there must have, you know, when you're starting out, you know, coming from just, you know, the regular player perspective, presumably there must be a ton of stuff that's going to be completely new the first time you encounter it.
Which is like, this is kind of like why I want to play in a higher league, and why do you think that I should be like playing in another team instead of like playing in the minor teams with my teammates at that point, because I feel like it could be a turning point for me to like grow faster, improve better at this point.
All right, so let's jump back into the timeline there. So from the experience at M&M Academy, you know, you're learning a lot from seeing how they function as a team. From like, you know,
how they become like a lot more self-disciplined player than comparing to like normal solo queue players.
Okay, what were they doing to get there then?
Of course, like coaches helps a lot, but at the same time, it requires on basic communication of players. Like when the main shot callers decide to do something, even though you know that is bad, you just commit to it as a team. If it didn't work well, it just didn't work well, isn't it? But like, it's not a bad thing to do that. But and at the same time, the other thing is you do not greed for a lot of stuff. Because if you greed for something, it always turns into some bad results. Like, you know, like a lot of solo queue players think that because they're playing solo queue, they can just flip it. But that's not how it works when you play in a team.
Okay, so was there anything else that you specifically got out of your experience with the academy squad? Or was that the major thing?
Let me think. It's because I actually didn't learn a lot of like mechanical stuff from like a specific player in there.
Sure.
Because it's kind of weird to say, but I actually didn't learn a lot from the mechanically. But in like macro and drafting, I actually learned a lot from it, which makes me think that, well, that's actually what I want, and I actually gain a lot from it.
Okay, so
like, yeah.
Oh, no, please.
And from playing some scrims with them, it just makes me like develop it better, because like you always need some chance to like play in somewhere to like tell yourself that, well, this is what you actually should be doing, and playing scrims actually helped me.
Oh, because they were still being taken just as seriously.
Yeah, they're just playing it seriously. But yeah, that's basically what I've learned, like more like macro stuff and like drafting skills, because like the head coach I had there is like a really smart coach called Jamada.
Oh yes,
he does Jamada is a really smart man, and he actually taught me a lot on how you play in these team fights and stuff.
Oh boy, yeah. Hey, Viperine. Yeah, Viperine knows Jamada as well. Oh yeah, no. Just from what I've seen, he's doing really well on the casting side as well. I have to imagine that. I think a lot of people who go for the coaching part of League of Legends transition very well to being casters as well, because of presumably a lot of the same explanation skills are very useful for both roles.
Yeah, definitely, because like being casters requires some of the league knowledge sometimes, and being a coach actually just helps you to get those knowledge, and you can make use of it in actual casting scenes. So yeah, that actually helps a lot. Well, I actually lost the game. Oh, actually, I'm like, it's so hard to concentrate on both, but like I'm trying to.
Don't worry, the TFT is here literally just so people have like to watch while it's kind of this is kind of like a radio interview almost. All right, so you learn a lot from Jamada, like in terms of the shot calling and things. So
yeah, I really appreciate like his drafting stuff, because his drafts are like actual big brain drafts. You like because when you're drafting, you're like always trying to flex something between different roles, and he's like doing it so well, which kind of makes like not like flipping, but he kind of makes the draft like making it really clean, and like often like winning by drafting.
So
which is what like a coach like what a good coach would be doing.
So, I mean, when you're in this position as a sub, were you actively seeking out to kind of learn from Jamada, as in, like, talking to, kind of trying to engage him in conversation about these kind of things? Or was it more of a passive process of picking up from what he was doing?
Of course, as a player, you're not, like, just learning from how the coach drafts and all those stuff to do. And, like, you always learn from coaches when they talk about macro stuffs and decision-making stuffs, and you gain experience from all these things, and you just make use of it in your next games. I don't know whether that's clear enough or not, but it kind of works like that, because you're more like trying to adapt from how people plays, and then you put it into your perspective, and then you try to play like similar things out.
Yeah, so you're trying to put that into practice.
Yeah, you need a lot of practice before you can like play it properly, which I think a coach could have tell you what you could be doing, but it's more like you have to push yourself at the same time.
Okay, so how long did you spend as a substitute at M&M Academy?
I've been spent a split, like last summer split with them only. Yeah, that's the only time that I've been with them, because like after the summer split, because there's no like winter split in the UK, so I basically just take a little break and continue to like grind my solo queue and play some uni leagues. And after that, I just start looking for a team again for 2021.
Okay, this'll do. Oop. Sorry. No, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, so you go through and you just kind of working yourself. So what was the next step for you from there then?
Obviously, as I said, I took a break from like a winter split, because UK doesn't have a winter split, and I still haven't like achieved my goal in solo queue, which it makes me ended in Masters last season, which is like kind of a really good thing. From memory of oh well, but that's not Viperun said that from memory of Yanako and Yuki, newer women she could get on a Yuki roster. I didn't actually trial for Yuki a lot. I think I trialed for it like once. Yeah, I trialed one of the teams, and I was like looking for a team with a friend at the same time. So that org simply just put me into the same trials, and my deal kind of ran it. So it just won't look that good on me, is it?
Oh, that's too bad.
If I am looking for a team with my friend and he just runs it, which means that the org would think that, well, this player isn't looking too good from what I think.
Oh no.
Yeah, so like it didn't actually work too well, but well, luckily I got offers from Prime Leagues and other regional leagues, which, as I said, I get into a Danish team. But yeah, that's basically how it works, because I didn't actually play in winter. I basically focused on my solo queue and my uni league stuffs.
So it's are there any steps between here and Absolved, or?
I think the last exposure before me getting into Absolve is me playing in uni league, which I was playing in New Women's Tournament.
Sure.
As Fibron just mentioned, because the first game of the New Women's Tournament is him casting my game.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and I remember, like, because I watched the that, and he actually gave me pretty high, pretty good comments on it.
Okay.
And I was like quite happy about it as well.
So how did you feel about your performance in the new female league?
I'm basically the only playmaker and the shot caller of that new team, and it actually works quite well because I am pretty confident on myself making plays. Like, I would always want to be the one who make plays, and we're like basically kind of like stomping people in new league, and we're quite happy about it, because like the first game I was like playing something like Morgana, and I just run around the whole map.
Okay.
And being at the right place at the right time. And then the second game I was like, didn't look like I'm playing some playmaking role. I'm more like playing a Soraka, but at the same time I'm like doing some decision making for my team at the same time, because like I would just tell what my team could be doing at the same time while I'm like slowly scaling as a Soraka, and we got to cast it in our team.
All right.
And we actually won that game as well. I'm like showing different sides of how I could play as a support, which I'm quite happy to do it.
All right. Well, so one of the things we wanted to really kind of get into specifically, because this is something which I thought you had very good insight on before, was so if we kind of move forward in time to when we get close to the current situation with Absolved. So, what was your kind of line of thinking, before getting in with Absolved? Where did you feel like you were?
Because I posted on an LFT in like December, and I think it's like mid-December, and I was like opening for all the offers which I could have, because I want to see what level of player that I could be. But as a female player, which is kind of like something that shouldn't be concerned in esports scene when you're like looking for players, in my opinion, because I do think that gender shouldn't be an issue when you're playing in a league team. And I didn't actually get a lot of offers or like a lot of trials in in like the first 2 weeks, because mostly they think that they could find better players with higher ranks in it, but in most of the trials that I had, according to like the feedbacks that I get back, and according to the head coaches which I played trials for, they actually give me really, really good feedbacks, and they think that I could get into like a high league scene, and I could definitely like from what they said, they think I deserve more than like playing in minor leagues, which makes me think that, well, maybe I will start looking for more trials from on my own, which is like DMing all the organizations that I think that I might be able to get a trial from them. And luckily, most of them actually gave me some really good replies and gave me some trials, and most of them are like quite impressed, even the players as well. And another fun fact is, some of the players in the enemy team didn't know that I'm a female, and they didn't expect that I'm a female either. And
Okay.
and like after the trials being done, we're like usually gathering people together and talk about how do you think about this trials and stuff, and like all these feedbacks. Like all those orgs are like often looking for feedbacks after the game. And once I start to speak, they were like, "Oh wait, what?" And they actually gave me like pretty good comments as well, because they think that as a support player, I am kind of like quite informative, and which kind of impressed them. And there's like a plus thing that they didn't know that I'm a female, and
Were you not on voice comms for this?
Yeah, only from my team, not the enemy team. The enemy team didn't know that I'm a female, and they are just kind of like shocked that they're like getting impressed by performance from a female. And this is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yes.
Because like, well, I'm not playing Yumi, so maybe you don't know it, but like at the same time, I'm kind of happy to receive these stuffs, because I don't want people to define me because I'm a female, and I am not only playing the champs that you're thinking that as a female I would only play these champs. Well, and this is kind of like a good thing that I got from enemy teams, which actually gave me more trials, because one of the head coach kind of like vouched me like really, really hard, and thinks that I should should give me more trials. And it actually gave me some sort of like more trials after that. Like I don't know, like I could actually link you like one of the Prime League Division 2 team. Like the head coach actually just make a tweet for me, and then they're like, you should consider this player more, and she played really well in our trials, and like we're like getting really impressed, and like the players who played with me in trials actually vouched me in the comments as well, and like retweeted. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like really happy about it.
Wow, that's really cool of them. So what do you what is it? So you mentioned before that, well, I suppose, you know, specifically so that particular occasion, what is it you were specifically doing, do you think, that really got people's attention?
Pardon?
What was the main thing, do you think, that really kind of got that kind of attention from the coaches? Yeah, what were you doing?
Cause I was doing trials for them, and it comes out to be like they were like just looking for like players which fits the minimum rank of they're looking for to like do trials, and the head coach comes to me and like and asks like, what do you want to do some trials with us and see how it goes? And it comes out like they didn't expect that much from me, I think, but I impressed them by doing more than what they expected. That's what I think.
Okay, so I guess the two major topics is, oh gosh, what am I doing? No, didn't mean to that. Never mind. It's all fine. So, from your experience so far, like, how have you been kind of evaluating different teams and sort of knowing what the next step is? Because from an outside perspective, it's all quite murky in terms of, this leads to this, and suddenly you have an esports career.
Well, I can actually talk about how I decided to get into Absolved, the Danish team I'm in, because like it's kind of like a tough process actually, because I got some offers and Absolved, the Danish Div 2 team, and there's one Prime League Div 3 team, which I'm like, these two offers are like the ones that I am considering the most, which I think that I could get pretty good results in it, and at the same time I could really develop myself as a player and play in a proper team at the same time. And trials went really well on these two teams because they think that like from like the same thing from what the head coaches said. They think that I'm really informative, like having really good comms, but they want me to do more trials before like deciding which player they're like looking for. And I did continue to do trials with them, and it actually went pretty well, so that both of the teams gave me offers. But like how I decide which team that I want to like go for is more like deciding on what kind of teammates I want to play with. It's because like both teams have really good players. Like there was a player like in the Prime League Div 3 team. Like I am going to have a really strong mid laner called Slim Shady, and I'm going to have a Grandmaster ADC in Prime League Div 3 team, which is like you could rarely see that because like it's Div 3 and like there's like a quite low chance for you to get such high quality players. But at the same time, in the Danish team, which is like Absolved, I am getting like a really, really good jungler as well, which makes me like get into a really tough situation that I have to decide which team that I have to go for at the end. Which what I considered is which side could get me a high chance to like win in that regional league, because like both of them are like regional leagues and not like the top top tier league in that region. Sure. So I'm like, what I'm considering at that time is which team could get me to win, and I decide that probably is the Danish league, and I think that the Danish league could have like an easy path for me to win in the tournament, because obviously like Danish league is made of like you get into like from Div 4 to Div 2, and then you promote to like TSD, and then you could do like NLC promotions after that, which is like you basically just skipped a lot of stuff comparing to other leagues, and they're like less stacked in like lower leagues, because like as I said, Prime League is like, even Prime League Div 3 are full of like high masters and like GM players, which is like in such a low league is like a really rare thing to see. But at the same time, because that league is so stacked, it's really hard to like get into higher league at the same time.
So that was something, because I mean, to get into some of the specificities of like when you were considering the team. So, for you, was that the kind of concern with sort of development of your own career, that if you could have those access to or at least the potential of a larger accomplishment, that you would have more, but you'd have the ability to then go on to bigger opportunities because you had that.
Because as a league player, of course, like when you're playing competitive, you always want to like achieve higher. You always want to like play in a higher league team. So what I decide is I think playing in Danish league might help me get into like higher leagues. This is why I think and I decide to get into there instead of like Prime League.
So I want to touch on as well, as you mentioned the teammates you're having there. When you're kind of coming to this from the outside, you talked about the OP.GGs being the CVs, so you can see the OP.GGs of the players you could potentially be playing with. But do you get to know them as people at all before you get to make that decision as to whether or not you want to attempt to sign with the team? Or
well, I could say that how those players talk and comes actually affect my decision as well. Because like absolutely there could be players which are like really good at the game, but like as a player that they're like as a player that I'm looking forward to play in competitive, I kind of want to have players that are easier to communicate with. And oh my god, I took the wrong item.
It's going well. It's going well.
I want to take the Anyman. Because I want to have players that are easier to communicate with, which I think that the jungler and the Danish team is like by far the best player that I could by far the best jungler that I think that I could work well with, as cause like I think jungler is like just a really really important role these days, so I just basically chose it because of that.
So just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, how would you know if their communication style fitted you before you signed up with them? Is there some sort of process that you can play with the team ahead of time?
Yeah, it's more like trials. It's more like how
during the trials,
you feel in trials, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because you're always gonna have trials with them, but some of them might work well, some of them might not. So you will never know, unless you've played with them for a while. But from what I've got in all these trials, this is how I decide. Yeah, this is basically how I decide on which team that I'm deciding to go to. Yeah, Shafty is just too good. Not gonna lie, that's why I chose it. That's why I actually chose it. Yeah, my jungler is called Shafty.
Okay, right, yes.
My jungler is called Shafty, and yeah, he's my jungler, and I think that he's like a really, really good jungler, which kind of makes me to decide the team that I'm going to.
People getting in trouble.
well, I have no idea why is my owner being here at this time.
Oh no,
like
we caused trouble.
The Absolved owner's here, and I'm like, oh no, I hope I didn't say anything wrong.
Oh boy. There we go. Yeah, Nuno's attending to business here. That's what's going on. 100%. Oh my gosh. Oh dear, this is definitely going to hell pretty quickly. All right. Oh gosh, got completely distracted there. So I guess, well, let's kind of broaden it out a bit here. So for people who started in kind of roughly the same place that you did, oh my gosh, there's a fight breaking out in the chat. It's great. So if you could talk to the younger Yanako, are there any kind of any particular lessons you've learned along the way so far that you would have you'd be able to give back to yourself at this point and give yourself a smoother journey to where you are right now?
Would you mind to repeat the question? Because I was like looking at my board and I'm like, why am I 1 HP? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm also looking at the chat and they're all having a fight with each other and saying that each other is fine. And oh dear, it's going fantastically.
Yeah, somehow my manager is here as well. A bit monkers.
Jeez. Nothing bad could possibly happen. It's fine. Everything's great. Well, what are we doing? I don't know. Here's a Samira. That's oh, there we go.
I think I'm gonna lose right here. Oh no.
Let's watch that happen. At least. Oh, apparently you've got something called a P45 going for the mail. So that's exciting news.
Well, it happens. At least I could like continue the conversation properly right now.
All right. So I know. Hopefully, you're still relatively early on in your esports career, but if you were talking to your younger self, is there anything from where you are right now that you'd be able to tell her that would make your journey easier?
I'm actually quite happy from what I have been experiencing before I get into the competitive scene. The only thing I would tell myself is probably not to like make a dual LFT tweet, because that kind of ruins what kind of offers that I could look for.
So how do you mean?
Like dual LFT thing is like you post a tweet and you look for a team as a pair. Like you look for a team.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah, you look for a team with your friend, and if your friend just kind of like ran it in trials, it just makes you to have like really bad impressions that people and orcs would think that you're bad as well.
So,
which kind of ruins my offers and stuff.
What was the reasoning behind doing that in the first place?
Cause that ADC I dual LFT with is the ADC that I played in the minor league.
Also,
and I do think that he has potential to play in UKEL, which he did. He actually get into UKEL in Lushendi Gaming, but I do think that that's like I actually got the offer from Lushendi as well, from like when he get the offer, but as I said, I always want to get into a team that could potentially win the league instead of like being in the middle of the league. So I didn't accept the offer, and I just continued to look for offers. But the trials that I had with this ADC kind of ruined my offers in the UK, which I didn't get like good offers in there. So I start to look for offers in other regions, which, as I mentioned, it's like Shinty is basically Absolved. No way, TJ, get back to work. Get back to work, man.
oh boy.
Yeah, Highlander is the guy that I dual LFT with. I think that he has huge potential, but at the same time, I can't leak what happened between the teams. So
no, sure, I wouldn't want you to.
Yeah, you're gonna see next game. You're gonna see next game.
Oh gosh. Oh boy. All right, we'll try and get through the material because I'm aware that like the more moments pass, the more it's going off the rails, which is fine.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I kind of regret on, because like I used to think that being a sub in the beginning is not a good thing, but actually it's not. It's actually not, because I feel like being a sub actually makes me just try to like, you're not playing the game, but you sit back and look at the game from the other perspective, which it won't work well for most of like some of the players, because as a player you always value play time first, and then if you can't get good offers on like when you could play the game, you look for something else like a sub or like taking a split off, which I don't regret on having this decision, because I have been in such a good org. From what I said, like M&M is a really nice UK org for me to develop myself as a player, and they have really good staff there as well, really good coaches, and they're giving me a platform that I could improve myself both mechanically and the macro side.
So how did you know for them that was going to be the case, though, kind of going into it?
Going into be a sub?
Yes, for M&M.
Cause like from the offers I got and that split, like what I get is like mostly sub offers. I was gonna get a starting offer in UKL from Factor. I don't know whether this could be leaked or not, but like I mean the scene, like the split is over like a split ago, so maybe I can tell. I could be able
it's fine
to tell.
it could be. I think it's totally fine just to be extremely like you don't need to use any names of any.
Yeah, cause like I was gonna have the starting position from the org, but like in that split it's kind of like in a mess, because that split there will be UKLC quals, which is like Factor like top 3 and UKL, so they are supposed to make an UKLC quals team to like compete to get the promotion spot. But some management issues happens.
Oh gosh, this sounds like something can get you trouble.
Yeah, management issues happens, and they couldn't manage to get a good like roster to compete in it, which they are trying to put all those potential UKLC players into the UKL team, but at the same time it's kind of weird because the players which accept the UKLC course offer didn't actually like say that they're gonna commit to UKL as well. But before they say yes or no, the org already told me and Highlander that they are going to give us sub offers, because they want to put those players into the starting UKL position. Meanwhile, they actually didn't manage to get those players. They actually have to look for other players, because all these UKLC level players thinks that they don't want to play in UKL. It's in a huge mess. It's in a huge mess.
Okay. Let's not get anyone in trouble here. Like this is definitely isn't what we're really kind of looking for in this issue.
That's in a huge mess, and it kind of like at the end I didn't get, as I said, at the end I didn't get the starting offer, and like, what do you mean by do this a lot? I don't, TJ. Really don't.
Let's move on. I feel like
I really don't. Like at the end, I didn't get the starting offer, so I got like 2 sub offers from the UK League and some Greek offers, which, well, I don't think I want to go to the Greek scene yet, because like according to what I got from other people's information, I don't want to go there yet because it's like full of dramas there. I want to stay in. I want to stay in UK League for a while to like develop myself. Man, why is my team manager and my and the team owner like saying this to me? Oh, I'm actually so sad, man.
Oh my gosh. This really reminds me, I spent a little bit of time with Excel when Ferndog was working there, and it had a very similar kind of vibe to it, where all the players and the managers were all giving each other crap. It was
I like
great.
to work. I really love to work with them because, like, well, like, Mia and the owner and like the manager and Absolved like played games together sometimes, and yeah, it's just like in a really nice situation that you could be friends with everyone in that. Which is also like one of the reasons why I decided to join the org actually. I'm just saying. I like you guys.
Also, thank you
We
guys.
play TJ. I carried you with my flesh.
All right, let's try and turn it back in. Thank you guys for following us as well. All right, so oh my gosh, it's really getting out of control. So let's talk a little bit more about some other topic areas here. So you mentioned before that the stop fighting with the Twitch chat. So as far as so you've been a player thus far. You said you had the really good experience at Jamada, the learning from them as a coach. Has any sort of alternate positions, apart from just strict player, ever appealed to you with your experience so far?
Wait, pardon. Would you mind to repeat the question? I am actually having some really, really goldfish memories going on right here. I'm like listening to it at the same time, and then like I just okay. What did you say?
Jeez. Okay, so in your career so far, has anything aside from just being a strict player appealed to you, like a coach or an analyst or anything like that?
Does that mean that whether I was thinking of being something else instead of a player?
Yeah, so does that appeal to you, if not now, then in the future?
I do. I actually thought of being a coach or like an analyst instead of being a player this split. Because during the winter split, which doesn't exist in the UK, I was thinking of like I kind of start to lose some of the motivation of like being a player. Because like being a player, it requires you to like keep on like self-motivating yourself. If whenever you stop, you'll be like, I just don't think that I'm good enough for this, and then you're just gonna like give up or something. But I'm not like totally giving up. I'm like I just didn't enjoy to play the game as much as before at that point. And I was like coaching my uni teams, and drafting for them at the same time, like when I was being a substitute player in M&M and like playing my own uni league games. Because like I'm basically a coach in my uni and I draft for them, and I really like I'm really getting some huge interest on analyzing people's champion pool and like OPGGs and stuff and how they play, and just investigating all those thoughts from them.
Oh, Nudu's got a legitimate question. Oh my gosh.
Oh wait. Do you feel Danish LoL and UK LoL is different? I feel like it's not much difference, but it's more like less dramas. Yeah, sorry for like talking about dramas, but like from what I've known and what I've experienced on online, I do feel like UK scene is a place which there's a lot of memes and dramas.
Okay.
Which I think that Danish scene is actually like there's still dramas between. Like there's still some arguments all the time. Like it always occurs everywhere. But
Well, without obviously giving anybody's names involved in this, because I'm still, as a caster, I'm kind of on the outside of this, so I'm not directly involved with any of that kind of stuff. But have you had situations arise during your time as a player, which you've kind of learned something specific from drama itself arising?
Yeah, I do. Cause like even when I was a sub player of Eminem, like people will just start to question why did Eminem take me as a sub? Because they think that I haven't played I haven't played a lot of solo queue. I haven't played in a regional league before, and they're like just questioning because I'm the only female player there, which kind of makes people to like question about why am I good enough to have Eminem vouching for me and like getting me into the UKLC scene.
So how would that come across to you? Would you be seeing that on tweets that Eminem were putting out, or would people be contacting you directly saying this kind of thing?
Some people actually asked me, and they didn't like comment in Eminem's tweet, but I could hear like from people, from my friends like across the UK scene, and they're actually telling me back that some people actually talk something behind you, which always happen, and I expect it already. But I think this is not the reason why that I would stop myself from being a player or like stop myself from improving. This kind of like just becomes some kind of like the reason for me to like have to do this and to prove myself and proving to people as well.
Well, I mean, we've kind of been going a little bit towards it a couple of times, but I suppose as good a time as any to kind of like engage more directly with it, with your experience of being a female player so far. What has that environment? I mean, I guess well, your male players kind of give you the alternative point of view, but what has your experience been like? I suppose as a female player so far.
To be honest, I really don't like people just having the first impression of me as like, well, Yanako as a female player. That's not what I am like expecting. And what I experience is because like some of the people think that because I'm a female player, a lot of people are just simping or like vouching behind me because of it. And this is not what I want. I want people to like seeking me as a normal player which plays in this league, which is what I'm trying to do. And gladly, I am playing in a mixed team, which makes me think that I am actually working at a right path to prove myself. Because like, I do feel like if I start my esports career, like sort of like that, if I start in a female team, people will just put me as like a female team player. They wouldn't think that I am good enough to like play at the same level with mixed teams.
So do you think that's... I can see that the... apparently some people are finding out for the first time that you're female in the chat. Oh god.
No, that's just not true.
I know.
That's a weekend, man.
This is the sarcasm on the internet I can understand. And it's so okay. Thank you, Nido, for trying to take the whole situation more seriously. So you think there's this is... I'm acknowledging this is as much as the regular experience of being a League of Legends pro player. is out of my experience. The certainly experience of being a female pro player is extremely out of my experience. But are you saying that, do you feel like there's a negative association with being a player who's come up through the female-only scene?
Of course, I don't know a lot about being a female league team player because I've never been into that actually. But I do feel like if people want female league team to be treated like more seriously, they should actually also have like a minimum rank when orgs are like looking for female players. Because oftenly, like in UKEL or UKLC, like UKEL's minimum rank is like Diamond 4 if you want to play in UKEL. But if you want people to take female league scenes seriously, you shouldn't have plat players in that scene. But at the same time, I could see some plat players playing in that scene all the time.
We did have this discussion slightly beforehand, and unfortunately I don't know enough about the female league scene to speak to.
Yeah, that's what I think it should be better, but I'm not gonna like talk like digging deep into it because I do think that's because I've never experienced to be a female team player. I shouldn't talk like or say something for them. I mean, you know what I mean.
My assumption for the ranks requirement being low would, I presume, just be a smaller player pool.
Yeah, it's like a smaller player pool, but it's harder to prove yourself that you're at the same level as the mixed team players. Which is why I didn't choose to start there. I reject the offer there, and gladly I always get into teams that didn't take me just because I'm a female, or like they decide to have me because they think that I'm good enough for the team.
Okay.
And that's the only thing that I concern.
Have you had any sort of female players contacting you and sort of talking to you about your experiences?
I think there's one player contacting me talking about the situation because like I was supposed to play in a Prime League Div 3 team with a female player who is a female German ADC in the Prime League scene, and she's like really good. But from what she told me is like she actually learned a lot more in mixed teams because it's like it's a team which has a higher competitive environment, like a better environment for them to like develop themselves as a team or as a player, and it's easier for them for players to like push themselves further and further in that, because there's no limits when you're like starting in regional leagues. There's always like higher leagues that you could go for, but in female leagues they're like only like a few female tournaments or like female regular splits thingy that you could go for, which kind of limits female players to develop in there.
Yes, I do get the impression that the idea is the female leagues are kind of more oriented towards player development over necessarily providing the highest level
they're
competition.
Like promoting and encouraging female players to get involved in the esports scene and like the competitive scene, but I don't think that I do think that these kind of scenes will like limit players more at the same time.
Okay, well,
which is why I decide to get into like the mixed team instead.
Well, to touch back on something you said a little bit before, just before I kind of forget that you said it, because you mentioned about sort of maintaining motivation as a player, and the sort of the drive you need to be able to keep up to improve. What kind of things were you doing to be able to have that in the first place? Is that just something that you kind of developed from other areas, or something that you specifically tried to develop for this?
develop as a competitive player, or like
So how did you remain self-motivated during all of this?
mm, it's hard to like describe how I remain motivated, because as I mentioned, like competitive scene is like really different to solo queue, because in solo queue you're more like playing on your own or with your duo, and it doesn't really require lots of like macro stuffs and like comms and like decision making, because it's more like a bit of like a flipping a coin on which side of the players that you're on, and you flip the right coin, you win the right fight,
Sure.
and then you just win. But like you don't really develop stuff as a team, because you will only play against them like or playing with these players for once. So like how I keep myself motivated is never by keep on playing solo queue. I don't think that actually helps. Like, well, getting the higher rank actually helps, because you will definitely feel better that you improve yourself mechanically, and you're thinking like you're good enough to play in a higher league as a player. But I do think that how I keep myself motivated is keep on looking on what I could be better, like what I could do better as a player. Like, as I mentioned before, I do VOD reviews with my ADC, like in the current team, and we always point out what we are doing well, such as like we have really good wave management, and we can keep on doing this next time. But at the same time, we could have better stuff to do on some other stuff, such as like rotating to different lanes, and like better use on heralds and every other stuff in macro in general. And all these stuffs just motivates me that I have to practice more. I have to be better as a player, so that I could perform better in my next game.
So, am I understanding that correctly in saying that so sort of in terms of a larger picture, it's sort of seeing your own improvement, and I guess comparing that back to where you were previously, like seeing your own progress. That's the motivating factor.
Yeah, it's more like you have to keep on pushing yourself and not letting yourself to like of course you can take a break between, but like when you take a break between, there's always players who are trying their best to like achieve higher at the same time, and you're gonna be like behind them. So if you want to achieve higher, you really can't let yourself to stop.
So I suppose I think we've got through honestly most of the stuff we wanted to discuss here today. But if you were to look back on this time, I don't know, say in 20 years' time or so, what would you want to be able to think about your experience in esports?
Because obviously I am not like actually a player which wants to like achieve at that certain of like high LEC level or whatever it is. It's more like something that I want to try to see how high that I could achieve when I try my best to do something. Which is always a good experience to look back, but at the same time, I do think that if I'm gonna look back at this at some further times, it's more on like looking at how much I've grown as a person, not as a player. Because probably I won't be playing this game anymore at that time, like in further years. Because you never know what it's gonna happen in real life. But you're always gonna get something back. You're gonna have really good friends. Getting to know like really good friends from any scenes. You're gonna learn to be a more patient person. One, because like you can't be greedy in like for anything in competitive scene when you're playing a game. You're having better mental situation, and this is what I'm just looking when you're like looking back in the future years. Friends such as Awaken. No, that's not what I'm thinking of. That's not what I'm thinking of.
Wow. All right, so so that kind of brings us to the end of sort of previously discussed topics. I'm glad this is oh boy, this has been a bonding experience for you and your colleagues. Let's put it that way. Yeah, let's be generous and put it that way.
He's my really good friend. Like I play with Awaken like a lot, and yeah, except when he ints me sometimes. I'm not gonna talk about it because because he's something else.
Oh boy. Okay. So as a final question, which is really, it's more about, I guess, what we have been doing, which is playing TFT. So you said to me before that there are teams now looking to put together TFT representatives, I guess is maybe the best way of putting it. What do you think about TFT's competitive scene, and is that something that interests you personally?
I do think that this could work, but at the same time, I might be a bit optimistic because, as you know, like Summoner's Rift games are more like comparing on macro managing and plays mechanically, but in TFT competitive scene, it's more like how you do your decision making, how you manage your gold, and of course there's always some luck and RNG like in the game. So it just makes people to like question about whether competitive TFT is a good thing. Of course, like obviously I actually think that I am a better player in TFT comparing to Summoner's Rift because like I don't think I'm a good player mechanically. So like I am better on dealing with all these decisions making stuff. So I really enjoy playing TFT, and I don't know whether like competitive TFT will be a thing in the future, but at least I would always be happy to see that casual TFT tournaments will be here, like in the future, of course.
Oh, Nudo, what's your interest in competitive TFT? As Yanako has very helpfully given me the ability to segue into, I run extremely casual TFT tournaments every couple of weeks on this channel, but I mean, certainly from where I'm sitting, the lack of spectator mode is the most obvious thing that's holding back TFT as an esport. But I mean, Yanako, would there be anything else that you would like to see change for TFT, or that would help TFT be more stand a better chance as an esport?
Obviously, I could see that. I think Riot or like Twitch are like inviting some streamers or the TFT players from different large orgs to like compete in some sort of invitation TFT tournaments, and Riot are like trying to make a tournament which invites all those top 200 TFT players in different regions of TFT to play in some sort of like high level league tournament, no TFT tournament, and I think that could work because at the same time you could like promote yourself on TFT, and like you could promote TFT as a competitive game. Oh my god, Shafty!
Uh-oh. We've been caught by your entire organisation has made their way into the chat, and now you're getting... Alright, it sounds like we've probably run out of time then. Now, thank you for the follows, guys. Apparently you are needed to perform your
Yeah.
duties as a support. So, thank you so much for joining, Yanako.
Thank you, thank you.
I think a lot of the people watching already know who you are and where to find you, but for anyone who isn't already aware of that, is Twitter the best place to keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, I do have my Twitter, Yanako. So if anyone want to ask me more questions, I'm more than happy to answer in there.
All right, I'll. Oops, that didn't really up.
Really did enjoy the interview, but unfortunately we need Yanako for stomping scrims. Yes, stomping our TSD team. Yeah, let's go.
All right, guys. So, yes, thank you so much for coming along, and for all of you fine folks to come in and memeing up the chat and make it a very interesting experience. But yeah, so for me, I stream TFT every morning. Have bi-weekly TFT tournaments, and tonight we'll be streaming Monster Prom, which will be quite a thing. But yeah, Yanako, good luck with your scrim, and hopefully I'll catch you on the highest levels of competition soon.
All right then. Thank you, thank you. I gotta go now.
All right, cheers everyone.
All right, cheers. Bye.